This story happened to me when I was a recruit, just stationed at the barracks. I had just joined, and they kept us recruits running around all day. I don't know if it's the same in every battalion, but at least where I was, it was all about sweeping the parade ground, doing chores, running back and forth and toughing it out. There on the battalion grounds, there was a small shooting range, and next to it was a pool. Further back, there was a kind of hut with a bar and a little kitchen. I have that whole area clearly in my mind because that's exactly where all this stuff I want to tell you about happened. At that time, everyone from the last letter group was all over the news, just to put it that way. That was when names like Lascon, Hummer, and O started being mentioned a lot. It was a topic you heard everywhere, and even inside the barracks you could feel that strange atmosphere, like everyone knew things but nobody said anything extra. One day, after roll call, the sergeant in charge of the recruits, the one they called Sargento Hamburguesa, called all of us to the shack. I remember that guy well. He was dark-skinned, short, and fat. One of those guys that just by looking at them, you knew they were going to order you around and make you do something. He began assigning and distributing chores to us. He sent one to sweep the parade ground, another to where the guava trees were, others to the shooting range, others to where they burned the trash, and others to help Cabo Jardinero. In short, he sent everyone wherever he thought of. Not even 20 minutes had passed when they called all the recruits again, but this time they wanted us in a line, on the parade ground, on the bleachers. Several of us were unsettled because it was unusual for them to gather us that way. While we were there, the sergeant started handing out pieces of paper, and he gave us pens and pencils, and then he told us we were going to write a letter to a brigadier general to ask for uniforms, shoes, and I don't know what else. At that moment, I didn't understand anything, but over time, it finally clicked for me. Back then, though, I was really green, just a rookie. As far as I knew, everything was normal, though I do recall thinking,
why the hell are we going to ask for shoes if the soldier is already wearing boots?
But as a recruit, you don't ask questions, you just do what you're told. They sat us down on the bleachers to rest, and the sergeant started dictating what we had to write, and that's when it got weird, because they weren't normal sentences. He started dictating words, and several of them had the letter Z, like Zapato, Zapata, and so on. Only words that had the letter Z. Things like that. At that moment, I didn't understand either. Then everything made sense. It turns out that no one ever found out which soldier or who it was. But that same night when someone was on guard duty near the pool and the little kitchen, they left a message written down. Basically, they wrote that.
Aquí mandan los guachos.
When my colonel was given the report that someone had put up that sign, the intelligence guys immediately started doing their job. And that's why, according to them, they made us write that letter to the general, making us use words with the letter Z like zapatos, zapatas, and all that to compare our handwriting with the one in the message that had been painted. The next day, early in the morning, right after roll call, they called all the recruits in again. Again, right there where the sign had appeared. And at that time, there was a lieutenant colonel they called El Gato, or El Gato Chiquiteador. He was a son of a... I remember that guy very well.
Estaba con cara de sapo.
One of those guys you just dislike as soon as you see them. You didn't even have to talk to him to know what he was like. Once we were all lined up, he started asking who had written that. He asked any informant from that organization in the battalion to come forward now, promising nothing would happen if he confessed. And as expected, nobody said anything. Also because among us, as always happens, little groups had already formed. There were typical cliques and rivalries. Paisa guys on one side, Jalisco guys on the other. I'm from Jalisco, so you can imagine everyone stuck with their own group, and we all said it wasn't us. And the other group said it wasn't them either. The cat started walking in front of us, looking at each of us one by one, and he told us he was giving us another chance to talk, to say who the infiltrator was. And we kept saying no, 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 until suddenly the cat stops and says,
We already know who it is. Seriously, he's gonna get it.
And then he points at a fellow recruit who was next to me. We used to call that guy Tartas because he stuttered. I think that day, even his stutter went away from the scare. The lieutenant colonel pointed at him and started telling him to come over, saying he was so-and-so. My buddy was totally freaked out, and the guy wanted Tartas to kneel. Obviously, he didn't want to kneel at first, and the other guy yelled at him,
Kneel down, you son of a...
And then he punched him so hard that it dropped him to his knees from the force of the blow. Once kneeling, he told him he was the infiltrator, that the handwriting matched exactly. My buddy could barely speak because of his stutter and fear. He just kept saying no, that it wasn't him, that he hadn't done it. And the other guy yelled at him even more to talk. Then Gatto pulled out his gun and put it to his head. That's when everything went silent. But it was the kind of silence where you could even hear the sound of the wind. I assure you, you could hear the wind blowing, not even a dog barking. Nobody wanted to say anything and nobody moved either. At that moment, we all feared the worst, that he was about to kill him right there in front of everyone. My buddy, out of pure fear, peed himself in front of everyone who was there. He was crying, saying it wasn't him, that he wasn't an informant. And honestly, I really felt bad because the guy was completely broke, and I could say it was one of the first times I saw someone like that. After that, things kind of calmed down a bit. They didn't do anything else to him at that moment. Thank God during my time there, it didn't go any further than that. But they did warn us that if something like that happened again, this time there would be real consequences, and they wouldn't allow a snitch among the soldiers. Nobody said anything. We all stayed quiet, and they sent us back to our chores again, as if nothing had happened. Then breakfast time came. We went to the storage room, turned in our things, lined up to go to the dining hall, and when I looked back, I saw my buddy Tartas. He looked serious with a fear you could see on his face. It wasn't just being scared, it was something psychological you could notice right away. It seemed odd to me because the guy didn't come into the dining hall with us. He stayed in the common room, and that was really strange for him because he never missed the food, the meal, whatever you want to call it. He always went into the dining hall. He was one of those people who wouldn't spend a single peso. But that day he stayed there, alone, isolated. I don't know if he ate or not, but he didn't want to come in with us. The rest of the day went by, night came, and we all were in the same company. Before going into the dormitory, we always joked around. There in the Cuban, in the fourth room, there was a corporal they called Chiles. Before going to bed, he would sit us down in the hallway before entering the dormitories, and we would talk with him. He would tell us stories about the bars, that he would go to Tropicosa just joking around. A couple of laughs to relieve the stress of the day. And my buddy Tartas, even though he stuttered when he spoke, was really cheerful. He always had a smile. He was one of those guys everyone liked. But not that day. After we joked around for a while with the corporal, when it was just us, we just saw that the guy lay down and covered himself from head to toe. He didn't talk, didn't laugh, nothing. And honestly, we didn't do anything to ask him how he was feeling. Everyone just went about their own business. The next morning, when I looked over at my buddy Tartas's bed, he was already gone. In the early morning, he grabbed his things and left. We never heard from that friend again, and that really hit me. I got angry, I got frustrated, because you join with the excitement of defending your country, with the idea of serving, of doing things right. And in my mind, I imagined something different. I thought they were going to equip us, that they were going to give us the G3, the vest, the helmet, and we were going to go out and look for the bad guys.
Yes, you know what I mean.
You come in with this pure idea that you're going to do something good, but then when you see how they line you up, when all that chaos starts, when they humiliate a fellow like that, when they send him to his maker right in front of everyone, that they kill someone over a suspicion, and afterward everything continues as if nothing happened. That's when something changes in you. My whole demeanor changed completely, my ideas changed completely, because that's when I understood that one thing is what you go in with, and something very different is what you actually find inside. I haven't heard anything about that comrade up to now, but not too long ago I ran into someone from back in the day, and honestly I was glad to see him because it had been many years without hearing from him. I'm Vympel, but those faces, I just can't forget them. I saw him among the people on the train, and I kept looking at him until I finally said, "Hey, what's up, Aguja?" We used to call him that. He turns, looks at me, and says, "What's up, old friend?"
How are you?
And there we started talking on the train, and the topic about what happened with Tarta came up, and, well, no, nobody has heard from him since then.